Hello, YouTube. I'm back. I hope you are well. In these chaotic times, this is just an off-the-cuff one. Saturday morning, I'm lying in bed with the dog, and I'm going to see a friend later. So I thought I'd pop out a video. I want to just give a rundown of where I'm at, what this channel is about, and a bit of my story. Who's that? Kips Clips. I think Kips Clips watches this channel. He's a seeker. We're all seeking, aren't we? Trying to find the truth. Well, not all of us. Some of us are happy to be in our delusions. The name of my channel, Fire in the Minds, has many meanings to it, really. There's a great book called Fire in the Minds of Men. I'm not promoting it, really. I read it years ago, and I still use some of it as a reference. How powers that be, and not the powers that be, ground roots movements, revolution, counterculture, propaganda, and all of that. I've been down many rabbit holes over the years. I'm 53 now, nearly. That makes me old, but I don't feel old. Well, my body does sometimes. I've been ill this week. I've had the worst chest infection. The worst chest infection I've had since I was in my 20s. It's not very nice. I hope you don't get it. There's loads of it going around. I've got a friend who's a nurse, and he went down with it as well this week. He's got lots of doctor friends. He assesses, my friend assesses people for dementia. So he has to liaise with a lot of doctors, and there's this nasty bug going around at the moment. If you get it, it's not just you. Don't worry, you're not going to die. But over 3 days, what will happen, your chest will fill up with mucus, and your nose will, and it is so sticky that you can't cough it out. So then, you go into this process of, regurgitating the bile out of your chest. So that rattles your ribcage so much that you have to end up taking painkillers. And then your brain starts hurting because you're coughing so much. It's fucking awful. Anyway, there's that. There's my fucking story this week. Welcome, everybody, to my channel. All 6 of you. I don't mean that. Do you know what? I'm doing quite well. I've got a TikTok account, and I put videos up on there. But I don't upload on TikTok so much. I'm determined to stick with YouTube, even though after 9 years of putting up videos, I don't expect to have a massive following. But it is a bit frustrating when, I do a video, no one watches it. But anyway, I started talking years ago, 9 years, about the red triangle. And this was 9 years ago. I noticed a pattern in propaganda and on YouTube with like the truth, what people term the truth movement, whatever that is. I mean, so I as a young man was attracted to counterculture, like we all are. I was a bit reckless as a young man. I was just up for having a good time, and counterculture appealed to me. I didn't have the best upbringing, so I felt sort of unhappy with the sort of cards I've been dealt with. But I'm just going to give you a rundown quickly. This is a common story, right? I come from a unstable family, a dysfunctional family. It goes back generations, not uncommon. And on the scale of things, I know I didn't really have too bad of an upbringing compared to lots of people. So yeah, I mean, this is the appeal of counterculture is young, idealistic people that feel let down by the system, and as a young person, you don't really understand the world, and you are drawn to these revolutionary, idealistic ideologies. None beknown to me as a young man, I didn't realise the propaganda machine. And I'm going back to the 80s when I was a young man, right? So that was a different world. We didn't have the internet like we do now. Social media wasn't a thing. The beginnings of the mobile phone era, really. And we didn't have access. Many people didn't. The majority of people didn't have access to the internet. Some people did. It was all like, a bit crap back in the day. I avoided the internet till the 2000s. I just thought it was all bullshit. I just remember going around friends' houses and they were just gorping at their machines, not talking. It was like, fuck this. It's got to be better fun out there than sitting around looking at a fucking screen all day. So anyway, I came into the internet pretty late, but I always loved a good book, a good history book. I think in my 80s I decided I wanted to know about history. That passion came from my granddad. My granddad was an RAF engineer. He was in the Second World War. His father was in the army, died in the Second World War. So I was brought up on the history of the Second World War and the fight against fascism. My granddad was a bit of a bookworm, and I inherited that off him. I had a bit of a passion for it. And really my granddad, I think, was the main male role model I had, because my dad basically wasn't on the scene, long story short. Anyway, I expect that story, not having a father when you're a young man can be a very difficult thing. Having a father can be a very difficult thing if you've got the wrong one when you're young. Yeah, we can all be traumatized, and I think pretty much all of us, everybody gets pretty traumatized to some extent by their family, the family dynamics and whatnot. Not everybody, but so I was a very angry young man, but through my own education and growth and development, I became to realise that it wasn't all about me, and I wasn't that hard done by, really. I had some things I had to work on, and anyway, there's that. Do you care? Probably not. So anyway, going back to the red triangle. Propaganda. The red and blue of politics. One reason certain symbols are used in propaganda is to imprint on your mind, to purvey the message of propaganda. And, the duality of red and blue has many, many layers to it. But red can symbolize blood. Red can symbolize fire. Red can symbolize the Republican Party or the Labour Party. So there's no real, this can be, it's multifaceted. It can mean different things. The red is the colour of the rising sun. In propaganda, stylized posters, especially from Russia and China, red is a prominent colour. That red is the colour of the revolution. It can also mean blood. An arrow, so as a triangle also can be used as a directional indicator, pointing a certain way. Is it pointing up? Is it pointing down? Is it pointing to the left? Is it pointing to the right? Things like that. So, look, a red triangle is just a red triangle, right? Nothing sinister. But it can have specific meanings in propaganda imagery. So, I also have a knowledge of geometry. And I've been interested in geometry. I was always interested in it. I've studied it on and off for 20 years. And, I've gone into the literature of where it comes from. The Platonic academies. It heralds back to the Republic, the philosophy of the Republic. I learnt about Renaissance man. What's Renaissance man, you say? We're going to get onto that. Thing is, I can't do it all in one video. So I've committed myself for the foreseeable future on this channel to cover the topic and lay down the groundwork of this subject. And it's immense, right? So our main focus on the channel at the moment is the geometry. What does the geometry mean? What's the information in the geometry? And this is what the Renaissance is about. Do you know where the word aristocrat comes from? It comes from Aristotle. Aristotle. Yeah. The movement of the Renaissance that centred out of Florence, that basically was a resurgence of the Republic, right? I need just to pause this. My dog's kicking off a minute. Right, sorry about that. I just had to cough my guts up as well. Right. The Renaissance man. The revolution. And the revolutionary philosophy. That ties into the book I just told you about, the fire in the minds of men. Some of the book, the book Fire in the Minds of Men, discusses how powers that be can evoke civil unrest and cause a shift, an ideological shift and a revolution, right? The revolution. This guy here, he's from the Iranian royal family, right? The the ancient regime is the old order, right? What's the ancient regime, I hear you ask? Well, you need to check out the French Revolution, right, for that. The concept we have of the Republic and of an ideal state is an ancient old story. It goes right back to the beginnings of our a long time back in civilization. The Republic was Socrates. It was about Socrates' the teachings and the essays of Socrates, right? Plato wrote about it as well. The Republic. That's 2,500 years old, right? There's been different experiments with republics over the epochs. The Romans had a republic. But to cut a long story short, there was what we commonly call the Dark Ages. And then, you know, the Greeks developed what we know as like rational logical science. And you know, this is where Aristotle and aristocracy comes in Florence, in the Renaissance. When the Renaissance resurfaced, we call it the Age of Enlightenment, right? It's referred to the Age of Enlightenment, but it went over hundreds of years, right? It's like fashion. It comes in and out of fashion, resurges. It never completely disappears. But, you know, there's a swing of a swing of the pendulum, if you like. The Renaissance was a movement centered in Florence that spread across Europe. And in a nutshell, what it was a resurgence of the old knowledge, the nous, that pretty much had been suppressed and basically wasn't accessible to the public, right? So basically, the development of printing books unleashed this knowledge into the public domain. But first of all, to the elites who had access to books, and they were able to study the books and the literature. And the Greek knowledge had a resurgence in Florence. And there was, you know, and that gave birth to the Republic again, right? The philosophies of the Republic, how to build an ideal state. And this is that goes back to Socrates' essays and teachings to do with this subject. I would say one of the most important books in humanity is The Republic. One of them. There are many, many, many important books. What else am I going to say? The hex. The hexagon. You know, the Christian ideology demonized the hex. Extreme Christian ideology demonized Eve at the tree of the Garden of Eden. 12 fruits from the tree of knowledge. And, you know, the knowledge of geometry is based, you know, there's an allegory in the Garden of Eden. We lived in the ideal state in the Garden of Eden. Right. But the ideology of fundamentalist Christianity, for whatever reasons, decided to keep out a lot of knowledge from Christian books to do with geometry. Although I will say this, there are, through my studies over the years, in all of the religious texts, well, they are cosmologies, right? Christianity is a cosmology. Every religion's a cosmology. A cosmology is a way of explaining the universe, right? So the basic concepts of geometry tie in to this subject, right? The basic proportions in geometry and ratios are key to the subject. Pi, square root 2, square root 3, square root 5, which is a derivative of the golden section, or the golden section is a derivative of square root 5, pentagonal geometry. The system we've developed of being able to measure time and space is hexagonal. This is why, the structure and of the clock, the structure of the calendar ties into this knowledge, this nous. So here you can see the red triangles. There's geometrical information in this if you have the nous, but also to the ignorant and to the mob, it's just a red triangle. There's no, to an uneducated mind, shapes are just shapes. They don't know the mathematical significance of ratios and pi. And this is what the Greeks developed for us. Unfortunately, that knowledge went underground or whatever, dispersed, right, through Roman Empire buildings, through the rise of Catholic Christianity. You can be sure all the knowledge is in the Vatican vaults, right? And here's the thing, right? Many, many Christians, scholars from antiquity, were trying to teach us about this, right? But, it wasn't so long ago, 600 years, if you were talking about it openly, you probably could be burnt at the stake, right? It was blasphemous. So now fast forward to our modern age. There's the phenomena of, we've got lots of people talking about satanic symbolism, right? And I want to cover where this comes from, right? I fell down this rabbit hole a bit. Sort of embarrassing to say, really. I didn't have enough knowledge at the time, and I started going into Christianity just through studying, its historical context, what's it about, reading the Bible, blah, blah, blah. But through that process as well, and watching videos on YouTube, through that process, as I got a bit gaslit, went down a rabbit hole. There's a lot of dark stuff on YouTube, right, about the cube. And but luckily for me, I had a knowledge of geometry. And so I've been able to put pieces of the puzzle together like many other people have before. And I'm no genius. I'm just some pretty much uneducated, self-educated bricklayer from Somerset. The equilateral triangle is a very important symbol in the development of geometry. That's why it's so prominent in the emblems and sigils and imagery from the fraternal lodges, from all of the crafts, fraternity clubs, imagery of the temple, imagery of I've lost my point. Do we need a new picture? We need a new visual. I know I'm waffling about it, and this is completely unscripted, so I don't even expect more than 6 people to get this far. So, but I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna work through this video, put it up, and let's see what happens. Right, so we're under attack, right? You're under attack. It's an information war. Counterculture over the years has been subverted, and maybe it always was, but you're always going to have young people that are unhappy with the status quo, right? So we're always going to have counterculture. The thing is, though, there's a big difference between grassroots movements that are real movements coming from citizens, right? And then there are movements that are engineered. And we've been stuck in a intelligence, asymmetric style of warfare all of our lives, right? The Second World War did end, but it just went cold, right? The hot war went cold. And now it's getting hot again, right? Russia had the foresight to develop a plan a long time ago and stick to it. And that's playing out now. And I will term it, it's not just Russia, it's autocracy. Autocracy incorporated, right? Autocracy. China, Iran, Russia, Venezuela, all of the power-hungry wannabe dictators, big oil interests, the techno-fascist bros like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. It's a vast worldwide network, and it ties into religious fundamentalism. The three main religions that spread their ideology, the dangerous ones are Islamic right-wing Islamic State. And there's a difference between moderate Muslims and deep right-wing Islamic State. And then there's Christianity. Right-wing, evangelical, white Christian nationalism that's been kicking around since the Napoleonic Wars. And then you've got the hard right Jewish ideology. And we're all being pitted against each other, right? There's nothing wrong with being spiritual or religious, but when you take the word literally, the words from the Bible literally, it's a dangerous road. Am I waffling? Yeah, I am. Did you see the Northern Lights last night? I did. It's amazing. No filters. Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal says he is ready to suck Putin's scaly pecker. Right, let's move on. This is completely random. I didn't even expect these pictures. I did have some pictures lined up, and that's not gone according to plan. I don't know what setting I've got my phone on, but it's gone all random. So let's go through some random pictures. This is one of the Russian government officials. I don't think we need to say anything more about Elon Musk, do we? So here's a picture. Does the red triangle tie into Russia and propaganda? Yes, it does. It does, in a way. A red triangle is a great image to use for a propaganda hit piece, right? Or propaganda imagery or campaign. If you study the Chinese communist propaganda and the Russian propaganda, it's a bit of a deep dive. You have to do, I've done a deep dive into it, yeah. It's exhausting, but with a ground-based knowledge of geometry, I've been able to understand the subject in more detail. And I'm trying to convey that to you. I don't think I completely understand the subject fully myself. I know I'm onto something though, and I want to share that with people who follow me on YouTube, because we're all on a journey. I'm trying to work things out just as much as you. But sometimes it helps for someone to point something out And I've been blessed in my life to have things pointed out to me. And I'm going to carry on that tradition in the Aristotelic sense of trying to pervade a gnosis. But this is the thing. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. It's not entertaining. Are you not entertained? Well, I suggest you go and watch somebody else, because I'm not here to entertain you. But that's the problem. The mob is inclined to just be entertained. What do you think all the sports are about in the circus? From the stadium is about. Like, there's nothing wrong with sports. If you want to be in the sports, be into it. I used to love sports. But it's about entertaining the masses, isn't it? Right? Anyway, I digress. Let's find another picture. That says it all. No comment. I've got a theory about Elon Musk. Well, look, we know he's... Do you know who Peter Thiel is? That was his the co-founder of PayPal, yeah? Peter Thiel is one of the major financiers of Trump and their network of techno-fascists, right, that are in bed with the world dictators. Elon Musk has his eyes on the prize. We all know Trump's going to lose massively, right? If you haven't worked that out yet. But who's going to pick up the baton from Trump? Who's going to be the charismatic leader to pick up the baton of white Christian nationalism? I'm not attacking Christianity. I'm attacking white Christian nationalism and its roots. And some of those American roots tie into the European story and the whole philosophy, you know, the whole mentality of Christendom in the New World and America. It's a deep, dark, ugly history. Goes back to the Vatican, and it justified a genocide in the American colonies, North America and South America. The Aztec, they weren't the Aztecs. The Aztecs was a made-up name, right? The Mexicas. Do you know that Mexico was the name from the indigenous people of their civilization when Columbus hit the shores? Mexica. So the Spanish changed the name on that, called it the Aztec Empire, right? Anyway, that's another story. So my theory is Elon Musk has his eyes on the prize to pick up the baton. Or, you know, it would be someone else, but that's just my theory. Remember the 5th of November. Trump's going to lose, yeah, but they're going to try and cause, this is like what happened here in the UK this year when a new liberal democratic leaning party won the election. The Labour Party in the UK, well, the Democratic Party in the US is its equivalent, right? The left wing. I was going to make a point. Yeah, there's a worldwide network of scoundrels, and you know, these are two of the players that are involved in this network, right? Elon Musk and Mr. Trump. Remember the 5th of November. They're setting the stage right for a revolution. You do know the significance of the date November the 5th, don't you? Well, you know that Trump and his cronies, they're setting the stage, right, for a civil war. It probably won't happen. But, you know, it's not just internal mechanisms from the US. You know, there's networks tying into a lot of Christian networks in the US, Christian evangelism ties into white supremacism, right? And this is Trump's base of white Christian nationalists. And now Elon Musk has flip-flopped from being a democratic leaning person, and he's joined the side of Autocracy Incorporated. He's Putin sympathetic. He's pro-Trump. Why do you think he spent 45 billion on Twitter? And it wasn't just him. I suggest you go off and look at who helped Elon Musk fund to allow him to buy Twitter, right? It's Elon Musk was forced several weeks ago to reveal who put the money up, right? And it's a very interesting list. It's a who's who of autocracy, actually, from Saudi kings, princes, to Mercer family, to Russian oligarchs. It's, you have to think, with the money and the people that bought Twitter, allowed Elon to buy Twitter, and now the propaganda that he's pushing out on that platform. Basically, it's a platform for Russia and autocracy, isn't it? And Nazis, the nasty Nazis, pro-fascists, populists, libertarians. Populism is a path to fascism, right? If you don't know that, you're uneducated. Sorry. It's not just my opinion. It's just basically a fact, really. You're dumb to history. You don't know your history. You don't know what went down in the Second World War. You don't know why the world order was established in the way it was after the Second World War. And we're having to revisit that again now, aren't we? Anyway, let's move on. I've said my piece on that. Remember the 5th of November. We're going to have a very chaotic time from the 5th of November up until the transition of power. If you think it's chaotic now, you just wait until this election happens, right? Because Trump is not going to go quietly. Oh no. And when Trump goes, who's going to pick up the baton? Is it going to be Mr. Musk? Look at the state of it. And his ketamine ideology and techno-fascist tendencies. He wants to be the new world order leader. Haven't you worked that out yet? Triangles. Let's move on from that. Right, here's another one I want to talk about. This ties into, I'm not against Christianity. I'm against white Christian nationalism. I fell down the rabbit hole a bit myself. And and to watch Russell Brand, well, it's not surprising really, especially when all these stories come out about his paedophilia. The same year he jumps on the Christian bandwagon. What a fucking joke. He's about as far away you can get from Jesus, and so is Jordan Peterson, right? Look at Jordan's whatever his name is, his ideology is about Russian autocracy, yeah? The strong man. Being the strong man. Young angry men, through their misogynistic tendencies, are easy targets. The perfect targets, right, for these wankers to come and put poison into your mind and to get you to attack the thing that is a good force. Autocracy Inc. and Autocracy Incorporated. Most of the noise online It's coming from troll farms, right? And bots. I mean, it was bad 9 years ago, yeah. But, like, you know, doesn't matter if it's Facebook, doesn't matter if it's Twitter, doesn't matter if it's TikTok. A lot of the noise coming from what you perceive to be American citizens or British citizens or whoever, citizens of the Congo, right? Citizens from the Congo that are pro-Trump. Right? There's a massive network of troll farms. I'm not telling you anything new now, but, like, you know, you could probably get into a conversation now with someone on a political feed, and you're probably not even talking to someone who's a real person. It's probably an AI bot talking shit about fucking Trump. Anyway, so we're being bombarded, right? You should know that. Remember this guy? This was the days before the internet, though, wasn't it? What's his name? David somebody. Waco, Texas. David. Oh, I can't remember now. White Christian nationalism in the States, you know, it's the networks of the militias and the some evangelical Christian networks, the TV networks. They're very powerful, right? They're embedded now through the GOP and the Republican Party. And they're you know, there's a big problem with white Christian nationalism and the disinformation that's coming from these groups. I think there must be a tie into the Vatican, right? I think there's has to be, and it's a pretty obvious one really, a concerted effort by Christian groups to use trolls, to use bot farms, to pump out their own propaganda, right? It's the age-old fight of ideologies. It's been going on since the Renaissance, that was going on 2,500 years ago, of, you know, religious fundamentalism against scientific, rational, reasonable thought. And that scientific, rational, reasonable thought was developed from the basic principles and foundational knowledge of geometry. And this is what maths is all about, right? That the systems of mathematics that we've developed, they are universal truths, right? And that opposes the ideology of Christianity, right? Do you want to know something interesting about Christianity? You know, we all thought the Gospels were written in Greek. Well, it looks like the Greeks translated it from Arabic texts. So the Gospels were written in Arabic. So there's your Jesus, and there's your Gospels, originally written in the Arabic language. Let's move on. Yeah, I've said my thing, I think, today. Oh, what Russian army doing? Oh, he doesn't look too happy about it, does he? I expect these are all dead now. But anyway, that's what you get when you go and invade a foreign country. Let's leave it there. I know this is a bit morose today. I'm not in my best mood. I thought I'd be a bit, you know, I don't intend to be dark. I retain great optimism. We just got to get through this period at the moment, though, haven't we? It's all a bit dicey. If you've been attacking liberal democracy, you've been brainwashed. Right? You are brainwashed. You've been radicalized by a sophisticated worldwide system of propaganda. It's put the thing that's put that fire in your mind has manipulated you since you were a young baba. But there are great people out there, and they're called Renaissance. They were known as Renaissance men. Right? Are you a Renaissance man? Let's end on the Renaissance man. The Renaissance man. Download. Don't get hexed. Yeah, don't get hexed by the devil. The knowledge, the Nous, resurfaces like fashion and the swings of the pendulum. It will always bubble up. There will always be resurgences of the enlightenment, the gnosis. Let's leave it on an image of the Renaissance man. Oh, where are they? I had some pictures of the Renaissance man. So the Renaissance man is the revelation that I hope I can give to some of you. And it involves the geometry of the squared circle. You know, the geometry, the fundamental building blocks of geometry is the equilateral triangle, right? The equilateral triangle is the first polygon developed in the growth of geometry. And then the development of geometry leads you into Euclidean geometry. It gives you a knowledge of the two-dimensional structures and shapes and the mathematical ratios and proportions that tie this knowledge together. And it's been staring at you in the face all your life. Every time you look at a temple, every time you look at a stage, in the theatre, in the auditorium, the symbology is all around you. Here is the squared circle, and that's the Renaissance man. So stick around. It might take a while for you to get it, but I'm going to keep grilling away and try and share with you the gnosis and knowledge I have learned over the years. I might make some mistakes on the way because I'm still learning, like we all are. We can all be fooled. In the squared circle, the image of the Renaissance man is the proportions of the human body. In the squared circle, the image of the Renaissance man are the proportions of the earth and the moon. This gnosis goes back thousands of years ago, and it is the foundational knowledge of the nous of the Republic. So, let's become enlightened together as we move forward on this journey. Have a good day. Get hexed. Get to know the geometry. And stop being a pleb. We all need a bit of enlightenment in our lives. And I'm sorry if I sound like an annoying prick. Maybe I don't. I don't particularly like the sound of my voice. But I don't care anymore. I just don't fucking care. So, have a great day. Have a powerful one. Don't get gaslit. And take care of yourselves out there.